Peter, just a very quick zinger. Do you support free speech?
Absolutely.
You do.
You
Okay.
get free speech.
Do you support freedom of press?
Absolutely.
So why aren't you answering our questions? Why are you picking on?
Why didn't you take part in the actual?
We called and they cut off the question.
Well, you should ask that other party then. I don't know why they cut off.
Why did you not say that you'd give Quebec a veto in English for pipelines? Answer that question if you support free press. We're here right now in Toronto at the English Language Conservative Party debate. We're set up and everything for the Rebel News live stream. You can see it right there, actually. Ezra and Sheila are sitting on there right now. And right now, they're doing the closing arguments for the debate. There's 4 of them. It should go by pretty quickly. Once they come out, I want to ask Peter MacKay very specific questions about what he said in the French debate yesterday. He said he would give Quebec a veto over pipelines.
Mr. O'Toole said that he had a plan for a pipeline without consultation. That can't work for Quebec and the other provinces. But what will you do if Quebec refuses to allow the pipeline to cross the province? Well, we have to have a plan and to put forward the positive spin-offs for Quebec. I'll never impose solutions on the provinces, as Mr. O'Toole says he will do. He says that there will be a pipeline across Quebec without consultation. That's a lie.
He said that he would be consulting with them and make sure it works with them before he goes ahead with a pipeline, a lifeline for Canada. I'm going to ask him if he meant to say that, if he still stands by that statement, and why he didn't say it in English. What is he hiding from Anglophones in Canada? What is he hiding from Western Canadians? Or is he just polling so poorly in Western Canada that he's just written it off? He got angry at Jason Kenney yesterday. He got angry at Erin O'Toole yesterday. He got upset with Albertans and Western Canadians in general, saying that they were angry and they just shouldn't be angry.
You want to bring our country and our party together. You're the wrong person to do that. You're an angry man, Mr. O'Toole. You're always angry. The same thing applies to your friend, Mr. Kenney.
We're going to ask him if he actually meant to say that Quebec is going to be able to trample over the rest of Canada and why he didn't say it in English. Let's go wait by the door and see if he'll chat with us today. Do you think you did well today? I have a very quick question for you, Peter. I want to know, you said yesterday that you would give Quebec. He says he'll come back to the CBC. That's very nice of him. Peter, I'd like to know, you said yesterday you'd give Quebec a veto over the pipeline. Why did you say that only in French? Why did you say that only in French and not in English? Peter, I'm not interested in your loser staffer. I want to know your...
We're not overly interested in you, I think.
Peter, why did you say you'd give Quebec a veto? Why did you say that in French and not in English? And did you mean it? Peter, why did you say that in French but not in English?
Hey, how are you?
Is it because you've just written off Western Canada? Is it because you're polling in 4th place in Saskatchewan that you just figure you can say, yeah, screw it to the oil and gas industry? If Peter MacKay wins the Conservative Party leadership race and then wins the next election somehow after running on Andrew Scheer's failed policies, he's going to inherit Justin Trudeau's muscle and armed guards. He is going to be stopping us from doing our job. So our campaign, letusreport.com, is going to be running strong, I imagine. To be here to ask Erin O'Toole, Leslyn Lewis, Derek Sloan, and Peter MacKay questions, my hotel cost $700, and the flight was even more, of course. If you can support us at letusreport.com, it would go a long ways to keeping us on our job. A straightforward question, man. Can you tell me why you didn't say in English that you would give Quebec a veto? Just such an easy question. It's just so sad you won't answer it. In the debate, there was a lot of focus on racism, a lot of leftist talking points, really. A lot of the questions were focused on that. Were you concerned that it was focused too much on that? And was there something else you would have rather talk about?
Well, certainly this is dominating public discourse, so I think it's appropriate we're talking about it, but it's really the approach. As I said, I'm very proud of our country. I do think we meet most of the time the ideals we hold ourselves to, but if we ever don't, we have to stamp it out and have a zero tolerance approach, and that's how I've always tried to conduct myself, and so that's how I've addressed it tonight. Other candidates took different approaches.
Peter MacKay said yesterday in the debate that he would give Quebec a veto over pipelines. Why do you think he said that in French, not in English? Do you have that same opinion? And what do you think his motivation was in saying that?
Well, I did notice tonight he talked about Energy East, right? And and then didn't talk about how to get there. I've talked about a National Strategic Pipelines Act where the federal government works in collaboration with the partnership, but the federal government has to articulate why these are in the national interest, in all the national interests. And I think we can get to a place where more and more Canadians see the benefit of getting our world price for our resources. So Mr. MacKay seems to think he can have it both ways. That's sort of consistent for him.
I appreciate your time. Good luck on the campaign. So that is how scrums are supposed to go. That is how questions are supposed to be answered. Someone who actually appeared like a statesman today, in my opinion, was Aaron O'Toole, Derek Sloan. Leslyn Lewis did as best she could, being new to the game. The one person who comes off as cringe time and time again is Peter MacKay.
For a second. Stay back just for a second. Go this way. Go this way.
Peter, just a very quick zinger. Do you support free speech?
Absolutely.
You do.
You
Okay.
get free speech.
Do you support freedom of press?
Absolutely.
So why aren't you answering our questions? Why are you picking on?
Why didn't you take part in the actual?
We called and they cut off the question.
Well, you should ask that other party then. I don't know why they cut off.
Why did you not say that you'd give Quebec a veto in English for pipelines? Answer that question if you support free press. Aaron O'Toole answered our questions. Peter MacKay answered the final one that we asked him of the night. Instead of running away, he said that does he support freedom of speech? It was a really tough one, and he finally said yes, surprisingly, because he hasn't been answering our questions. But I want to know why you think the mainstream media has been so... They were debating with you in that room. When they were asking you questions, they were debating with you over certain policies. Why is the mainstream media so focused on you and arguing with you rather than talking about your candidacy?
I think conservatism is completely unintelligible to the average person in the media, and when they see someone who is promoting ideas that go against the status quo, kind of blows their mind, so to speak, right? So typically when that happens, like if I came out and I said, "Hey, the sky's actually red," you'd be like, "What do you mean it's red? You know, what are you talking about? It's not red." So I think it's sort of that mentality, and they come by it honestly. I believe it's just the average persuasion of someone in the media is just go with the flow. They're generally more liberal.
You don't have to sugarcoat it. We know that the mainstream media is rabid leftists. Last question I'm going to ask of you of the evening is on immigration.
Sure.
In terms of a number, our viewers want to know a number.
Yes, our number is 150,000.
And that's solid. You won't waver on it at all.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if we do it and we think it should be 160,000, then yeah, we'll change it. But the number that is in our plan and in our policy right now is 150,000. And another thing that we're also think about doing with housing is taking a very close look at foreign purchases, right? So when you have non-Canadian citizens from other countries that are buying up like 10 condos or something like that, we need to know when that's happening and, curb it. So. Yeah.
Well, I think that you were overall one of the better performers in the debate tonight. I think that you deserve some congratulations there. Our viewers were certainly happy to hear from you in a sort of an unabridged way rather than the mainstream media sort of publishing and editing it. So I think you deserve some congratulations there. Thanks so much for chatting with us.
Thank you so much. And hopefully, and if I was to win later, you guys would be welcome to ask me questions.
Very much appreciate that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
So could you tell me, how do you think you did tonight? What were the highlights for you?
Well, I was happy with my performance. The night before, I had a few hours of French lessons over, the last couple months. And, it's a very, very busy schedule being involved in this leadership race. And so I was happy to get through the French debates last night. And tonight, I was able to shine a little bit more because it's my native language.
More of a level playing field
Yes.
rather than French. A lot of the criticism that we've heard about this debate is that it focused on leftist talking points. Racism. There was a weird question about a dementia panel. I wasn't sure what the point of that question was, but I think the party missed asking a lot of pressing questions about how we're going to be dealing with Chinese aggression, how are we going to be dealing with Europe as it's changing with Brexit, how are we going to deal with national sovereignty in the north. What would you like to highlight about your foreign policy that we didn't really touch on in the debate?
Well, as I said, I believe that we need to look at home. We need to make sure that our house is in order and clean before we can start dictating to other countries. And so, one thing that I'm very concerned about is the freedom of the press here at home. We cannot say that China is suppressing the press when we are doing the same things right here in our own country. And so things like that, I feel that we have to take very, very seriously. We have to make sure that the press is all press is at every conservative event, any political event. These things should not be designated only for certain press.
So Peter MacKay said yesterday that he would give Quebec a veto on the pipeline, on any pipeline going through their province. Today in English, he didn't say that at all. I want to know from you, why do you think he said one thing in French, one thing in English, and would you give Quebec a veto on a pipeline?
Well, I can't confirm what he said in French because
Take my word for it.
That's right. But I'm not sure why he didn't mention that today. I'm not sure if it was because he didn't have an opportunity. No, I think the pipelines are very, very important, and any way that I can build them, because I know that it is a very crucial part to revitalizing our economy, to make sure that we're able to build those pipelines. For every job in the oil and gas sector, there's 7 manufacturing jobs, splinter jobs created outside of every one job. And so this is a big part of us rebounding. And so I take a very different approach than he does to that.
In the media recently, you've been shown to have a lot of growth. On Facebook, for example, you've eclipsed Peter MacKay and Erin O'Toole in your engagement. What do you attribute that to?
Well, a part of it is that my message is getting out there. The media is putting my message out there a little bit more. And so people are liking what they're hearing. And so more people are coming on. And also it's later in the game, and people have to really start thinking about who's going to be on their ballot. So they're doing the research, they're finding out about my policies, and they see that I'm a true conservative. I have very strong conservative values, very strong social conservative values, and fiscal conservative values too.
Last question. Do you think leftists will rejoice if there is the first female of color being prime minister? Do you think that they'll be excited for that if it's you?
Well, I don't think that they haven't been excited yet because I'm a conservative, and there seems to be different standards for us. I am making history, and like I said, the outlet that's given me the most attention was the Rebel. And so I would have thought that people on the left would say, yeah, this is what we've been fighting for. But because I'm a conservative, it's not happening that way. I've had to really, really push to get my message out there. And at the beginning, I had to rely on fair organizations like the Rebel just to give me that chance to get my message out there.
I wonder why they're not excited in the same way. I just can't fathom why it would be. Anyways, congratulations on tonight. Good luck in the campaign, and we'll see you on the trail.
Okay, take care. Thank you so much. Yep.
Well, it was a successful night here at the Conservative Party debates. At least for us, we were able to speak with 3 out of the 4 candidates on a very professional basis. It was very humanizing to be able to speak with Erin O'Toole and the other 2 candidates, Leslyn Lewis and Derek Sloan, on a very personable basis about serious issues that members have with this country, with the world, that they want to address. Peter MacKay, of course, fled like a dog with his tail between his legs, scared of answering questions, until we asked him a second time, a very easy one: do you support freedom of speech? Do you support freedom of press? And when he answered yes to both of those, we asked him a third question, a tough question. Why did he say one thing to Quebec and one thing to the rest of the country? And of course, he couldn't answer that because Peter MacKay is all talk and no substance, especially when it comes to hard-hitting questions from Rebel News. We, of course, couldn't have done this coverage, both the live stream and the on-location coverage, without your support. The hotel room to be here and to be allowed in this hotel cost us $700. It's not a cheap place where the Conservative Party is hosting this debate, but we don't choose the venue. It was expensive to do it, but we think that it was valuable coverage. We were able to ask real questions of these candidates, except for Peter MacKay, of course, who wouldn't answer a thing. If you go to letusreport.com, you can contribute to the costs of this footage, of this reporting. If you go there and help us out, it would be greatly appreciated. As for right now, the campaign will go on. Leslyn Lewis, Derek Sloan, Erin O'Toole, and Peter MacKay will be facing off later in the year with a mail-in ballot, and we'll find out who exactly will be replacing Andrew Scheer. to be here to ask Aaron O'Toole, Leslyn Lewis, Derek Sloan, and Peter MacKay questions. My hotel cost $700, and the flight was even more, of course. If you can support us at letusreport.com, it would go a long ways to keeping us on our job.